This is the magicwordpodcast.com.
Hello, this is Scott Wells for the magicwordpodcast.com. And here we are on the road again. Hey, this is a little bit different because I quite literally am on the road as I'm driving here now from Houston, going up to Dallas for the Pebblepalooza convention. This really isn't a convention so much as it is a sessioning event. This is a lot different from many of the other conventions in so many ways. One particular thing is it's a very small, intimate group, and it is kind of by invitation only. You have to be a member of the Pebble, which is an online group that has been Lance Pierce had put together many years ago, and then about 10 years ago decided, I guess, that we might start needing to get together physically, and so they started putting together this thing and then having some people who they would have as special guests come in and perform. Like this year, we're going to be having Gary Plants and Doug Cohen, Erik Tait. I'm not sure who all else, but usually, again, 3, maybe 4 people who would give a little talk as well as performance. On one morning, we'll have I'll say tomorrow morning, I guess, Saturday morning. It's Friday right now as we're driving. We have a lot of people who are locally or just who attend who might want to show their stuff and perform then as well. So it's kind of a little bit of a informal, rather a formal show that would be made up of the attendees. But the most part of what this is just really for getting together and sessioning and staying up late and exchanging ideas and tricks and things with each other. And it's just a whole heck of a lot of fun. And I say it's informal from the standpoint there are no name tags or anything. As I recall from the last convention I attended back in 2019, of course it was suspended then for 3 years due to COVID, and so this is the first time back in a while. But they actually just put these pins in a bowl and they pass them around and said, hey, if you've paid for this convention, then take a pin and put it on so we know that you're a paid attendee and you know who you are. Just this is your honor system, basically. And if you don't have a pin, then you shouldn't be in this room. You should be out there with the rest of the group. But because there are some special things that some sessions that we do have within the room. And then as far as the activities, there is nothing printed on a program per se. The program is all just written on a whiteboard, so it will be up once I get there. I guess we'll see kind of what's happening. As I understand, things are to kick off today at 1 p.m. This is Friday, and then conclude on Saturday evening. And so it's going to be some fun, and a lot of heavy hitters will be here. Mainly, I would say since it's a regional convention, I say not regional, I mean it's open to the Pebble, which I guess is an international group of different people from around the world who are there, but those who tend to come to this, it seems like, at least the time I came in 2019, was for a smaller group of about 50 or so people, which are kind of have driven in from around the area. Might be a few people. I remember Curtis Cam had come over from Hawaii, and we have some other people, of course, Erik Tait, who is going to be in from Ohio, and Doug Cohen from New Orleans. I know Steve Reynolds usually shows up as well from New Orleans, and have a pretty good group. So again, just some intense sessioning is what this is all about. If you're an intense card guy, then you probably are already a member of the Pebble. And so if you are and you're not attending this coming convention, then you'll probably enjoy this more than most, because you get to hear some voices from some friends of yours who are on the forum then as well. Well, I'm going to shut up and pay attention to my driving over here, but I didn't stop at Dunkin' Donuts, but I did get some coffee before I left just at home, so just have a little bit of coffee here. I'm okay. I'm okay. Well, I don't have to pull. I'm not going to have to pull over. I'm fine. Don't worry. Went down the wrong pipe. Oh, that was some good coffee. That was a little bit too hot. Oh, goodness sakes. Anyhow, I'm fine. And so I'll see all of you guys once we get to Dallas. This is Scotty out.
Welcome to Pebblepalooza. Story goes like this. These two dogs were talking. This one dog goes, hey, I learned a new joke. And the other dog goes, really? What is it? And the first dog goes, knock, knock. And the second dog goes, all right, so welcome to Pebblepalooza.
It only goes down from here.
Like I sent out in the email, we put everything up on the board that we possibly can think of, the list that might be important to you. The schedule is on the left. We start at 1 o'clock with me right here talking your ears off. The second day, in about 20 minutes or so, when we get through with this part, Gary Plants will amaze us with some wonderful information and secret hidden techniques. And at 7 o'clock tonight, Doug Kahn takes the room. So it's going to be a nice day today, okay? And then tomorrow at 10:30, Curtis and Tony do their do-it-yourself show.
Hey!
All right? So if you guys want to perform tomorrow and you haven't volunteered, check in with Tony. Curtis, I think, is having the list, right?
Yeah.
Check in with Curtis and
do
get your name on the list and come up and perform a neat trick or something. No pressure at all. You don't have to do it, but it's a lot of fun. I've seen you guys do some really cool stuff here. At 1 o'clock, Jared Kopf, if he ever shows up, we'll take the room. He has a nice talk. And then after we have an afternoon break in the lobby or you go eat or whatever, 7 o'clock, Erik Tait will close out our weekend for us. And then, as a special treat, at 10:30 tomorrow night, right here, Gary Plants will be setting up a TV in here. We'll have it set up and ready to go, and he's going to show us some amazing lost footage that he guarantees a lot of you you've never seen before. So this will be cool. Very, very cool.
We have arrived in Dallas, actually in Addison, which is a suburb of Dallas. And Addison, from what I recall, I don't know if it's the same now, but it used to be, there are more restaurants per capita in the town of Addison than there are any other city west of the Mississippi. There's a little tidbit for you. And so I don't know if that's still true or not, but it's, again, a small community that's just north of Dallas, and we are here then right now at the Marriott Courtyard, and I'm here with another podcaster friend of mine who you've heard before, Erik Tait. Hey there, Erik.
Hey, Scott. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to have you on then again. So did you get in last night then or today?
I got in last night.
So tell me a little bit about last night. So Thursday night, it was not an official night as far as there were any activities scheduled.
No, so this is my first Pebblepalooza. Lance asked me to speak, and I agreed, and I'm very honored, and it's very gracious of him to ask. But a lot of people came in last night just because it's, you're traveling on Thursday, and the convention's going to start at, like 1 o'clock on Friday, so you may as well sort of get in early. So we had some really nice sessioning last night. Was hanging out with Ryan Plunkett and Michael Feldman and a few other folks, and we're just sort of throwing cards at each other, catching up, telling stories, and sharing secrets, and it was a good time.
Yeah, you said, I think, or Mike Howard's telling me there are about 30 people or so who kind of came in last evening?
Oh, yeah. I'd say between 25 and 30 people, so it was a good chunk of the convention.
I was going to say it's about half of it, because there's really not more than about 50 or 60 here total.
No, I think it was roughly half the convention. So, yeah.
This is a really good convention. This is my second Pebble. The first one was in 2019.
Okay.
And I said, okay, well, I'm going to register for the next year. I'd forgotten I registered until Lance Pierce had sent me an email and said, hey, you already paid for this coming one. And they had not had it for the last 3 years because of the COVID, obviously.
Yeah.
And so now we're kind of back in the saddle and getting this going again. And I just today saw on Facebook a memory that came up 4 years ago that showed people who were here last time and reminded me that we had people like Bill Malone and Danny Garcia and Eric DeCamps and I'd forgotten who all else. I mean, it was just, Curtis Cam. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, this convention's got a lot of heavy hitters at it. So.
Yeah. And what I like about that is just what we were saying about how intimate that it is. There are just a very few people, kind of here. And the main thing is about sessioning. Mm-hmm. And it's not so much about the trick lectures and everything, but I like what Lance says, it's a party.
Yeah.
Did you kind of get that feel?
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely. It doesn't feel like any convention I've ever been to before. I mean, the talks are very informal. It's kind of not announced as to what's going on. It's just kind of whatever the person who's talking wants to talk about or teach, and then everyone kind of breaks and goes back out in the lobby and hangs out until the next thing happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as Lance said, this would be something I would host in my home if it was large enough for 50 people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's fun because they're just making fun of, sarcastic comments to everybody, and poking fun because everybody's friends here.
Oh yeah, I mean everybody's friends, and it's the only convention I've ever been to where it's like it's not inappropriate to interrupt the lecturer.
Exactly.
With a good joke.
Yeah, not necessarily the question, but with a joke.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just very relaxed, very very comfortable. I really like it a lot. This is my first time. I've been here for 18 hours, and I'm having a blast so far.
Well, we were just talking earlier about going to conventions, that you haven't gone to before. Are you coming back again the next year or some other time in the future to get a chance?
I'd love to come back. It all depends on what my Penguin schedule allows.
Penguin keeps you pretty busy.
They do. They keep me running around.
And now your podcast comes out then each week, or how?
Yep, every week, Thursday. Yep. We actually just interviewed Sean Farquhar and Melody Munoz, who is the talent and the competition chair for the IBM International Convention. So that episode just came out yesterday, and so we were real excited to be able to platform the IBM like that.
That's great, because they've got the convention coming up later this year in Pittsburgh. You're going to be there?
Unfortunately, I'm not. I've got some conflicts that I'm not going to be able to make it to the Pittsburgh convention.
What conventions you got planned this year with you and Penguin or whatever?
So we did Blackpool. I'll definitely be at Magic Live. There's some conventions that I have been booked for as Erik Tait, not as a Penguin, that I don't think it's been announced that I'm on them yet, so I'm not going to tell you which ones.
Okay.
But there's definitely a few.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
Okay, Erik, thanks very much. Always good to catch up with you, buddy.
You too. Same.
So the Magic Word Podcast. That was Erik Tait. Scotty out. Carrying on with the around in the area, we just finished the session with Gary Plants, and it was awesome. And he was on at 1 o'clock. We got Doug Kahn coming on tonight at 7. As mentioned before, this is a convention that is it's not loosey goosey. I mean, it's from the standpoint that it's like, hey, you wanted me to do the other trick? Maybe go a little bit longer. Sure, do something else. And so it was a little over a 2-hour lecture with a 15-minute break, and loved it. It was great. And one of the people who was sitting next to me over here in the front row was my buddy and yours, Justin Teeman. Hey there, Justin.
Hi, how's it going, Scott? Good to be with you.
And you as well. I see you're wearing an All Things Magic shirt over there.
Oh, absolutely. A lot more people are learning about Luke Dancy and his All Things Magic group, which started in the throes of COVID-19. We're all locked down. I think when that first started, we all determined that Luke did not sleep at all.
I wondered about that same thing. I don't see how he does that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. But it is so good to be back in action. We all know that magic is a dish best served live, so it is good to be back and see all our friends outside of Zoom boxes for a change.
Yeah, yes. And last night you were here early also, because you'd sent me an email earlier saying, hey, I'm going to be there. How about Martini on Thursdays? It's like, darn, I'm not going to come in until Friday. So
absolutely. So we might have to have a fabulous Martini Friday for a change, because this is the most informal gathering ever, but it's just like a family reunion weekend for most of us that have. Because I'm one of the 14 that have attended all of the Pebblepaloozas.
I was just about to ask you if you were, okay.
Yeah, so they started in 2013. The first one was in Oklahoma, where I'm from, and then we've kept them going ever since, and now we're catching up. This would have been number 10 had we not had the hiccups. So we're doing Pebblepalooza is what I've called this one. So.
And I think it calls it, 8.3?
Yeah.
So they had a couple
because this is our third attempt to do the 8th one.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, in Oklahoma, I think, because Lance is from Oklahoma City, I think? Or?
He lives about 45 minutes from me. He's in Edmond. I'm in Moore, which is Tornado Town, USA, if any of you watch the weather. But what's ironic is that it took me 4 years to see Lance, just like the rest of these people. So it's been 4 years since I've seen a guy who lives 45 minutes from me.
Oh, my.
So that's how important these gatherings are. It's like meeting with old friends. So.
Well, although this, of course, was an outgrowth of the online Pebble network, I guess, and so a lot of magicians were on there and then said, hey, let's have a party, let's get together, and it wasn't enough room, obviously, in Lance's house, so let's get together in a place. So when did they move it from Oklahoma to here in Dallas?
It spent 1 year in Oklahoma, and then we figured out that it's just logistically better with as many people as we had coming from everywhere, DFW and Love or hubs from everywhere. So it was just easier to get people from afar into Dallas, we figured out. So it's been in Dallas from 2014 onward.
Well, you'd be one of the best people for me to ask since you've attended all of these.
Yes.
One that has been outstanding for you. I mean, everyone has its own little nuance, or someone who is not really the guest of honor, but there's someone who perhaps you've learned something the most from, or it's like, hey, I remember this year that Bill Malone was here, Steve Forte.
Okay, so just these circumstances around the Steve Forte one were kind of interesting, because we always know there's going to be 4 presenters. We don't say lecturers because they may lecture, they may not. And we were kept in suspense about the 4th guest one time, and we find out that it was Steve Forte. And so I remember that we're fairly open here once we're here, but the The rule for that one was, as it usually is, take as many pictures as you want, have a good time, but don't post any of them until after you get home from, obviously, because, we didn't want, the room's already packed, as you know.
We don't want people coming.
Yeah, so we don't want any more than is already here, but the 41 was special for so many of us, just because he was so giving of his time. He sat up all night with us and showed us any and everything, so that was one of those once-in-a-lifetime things. But everyone who's here, whoever it is that shows up, they're very accessible. It's just one big, ask anybody anything, very open with it. The ego's left at the door, as it were. Yeah. We all start out on the same field, Yeah, so that's great.
This has been fun. Well, I'm enjoying it, and I'm glad that we finally got back together. And Absolutely. There are just a ton of people here in the lobby. We've just finished again with Gary Plant's presentation, and so now everybody's starting to huddle up at the tables and breaking out the deck of cards. And so some coin guys are here from time to time too, but mainly it's cards and coins. I say it's close up, but those are the kind of two things.
Yeah, it's primarily close up stuff. Lots of cards, lots of coins. I think year number 2 was especially coin heavy with Eric Jones and company around. But we got a little bit of everything. When the night grows longer, you'll see some mentalism. You'll see a bit of everything, but just close up, just sharing our passions. That's what it's about. So
that's right, and that's pretty much everything. It's kind of like we were talking about all things magic with Luke also. Sharing magic. So thank you very much, Justin. Always good to see you, buddy.
My pleasure. Thank you, Scott.
So the Magic Word Podcast. That was Justin Teeman. Scotty out.
Thanks, sir.
We just talked with Justin Teeman, as you just heard, who has been to every one of these. Now we're talking with Rolando Santos, who is now here for his first time. Rolando, hello.
What an amazing experience. Lance Pierce, I think, said it best. He goes, this isn't a convention, it's a party. I just don't have a house big enough for all of us. It's amazing. I mean, I've been to conventions all over the world, as both of us have, in our roles as the IBM and other things, and just as magicians. And there are just certain conventions where you walk in and everyone talks to you and you're having a good time, and it doesn't matter what level you are, whether you're illusionist or a card specialist, or in my particular case, storyteller, mystery entertainment. And you don't always feel at home in some conventions because you're not a card expert and you can't do this or the other. I mean, my expertise, your expertise is storytelling, among other things, right? Mm-hmm. And here, those things are valued, and we just have a good time.
Right. Yeah, and everybody is willing to share those kinds of ideas, and it's one thing that I think we are missing is just the international element, and I don't know why necessarily, other than people maybe don't think about flying all the way over here from France, let's say, just for a day-and-a-half convention or event, because they probably belong to the Pebble where they can be online and share these kinds of things. But to fly over just for a short time, as opposed to, let's say, going to the IBM convention, it's going to be a 4-day convention, or Magic Live, or whatever else. That might be one reason it's kind of somewhat prohibitive price-wise, just to get here for a short time. That's why I say a regional convention, that a lot of people are here from Louisiana, in Oklahoma and surrounding states. But there are others. I mean, like I see Curtis Cam over there who come in from Hawaii, and several other people then who are some special guests who have come in as well. But I mean, others, I see Tommy Ellison over there is coming from Birmingham, and we've got some other people from Georgia, and you're not in Georgia anymore. Right. But we do have. I'm saying it's a small convention, and it's although international, it is more regional, I would say.
Well, I think it's open for international folks if they choose to come and get the invitation to come, yeah. But it would be difficult coming in for a couple of days.
Yes.
And there's not really a way to get around that. If you happen to be in the country and you get an invitation and you're here at the right time, you'd be more than welcome to come.
Absolutely.
It's not an exclusion.
If you're here for a lecture tour or something.
Exactly, if you're here for a lecture tour. Just what it coincides with. I was fortunate to get an invitation this year. It's something that I had heard about when I moved back to Texas, something I wanted to do, just because everyone always talks about it. And it's everything everybody told me that it was, and a little bit more, quite frankly.
It's just getting started. I mean,
I'm sitting here. We just finished the Gary Plant's lecture. Okay, it's like, oh my God, I can't get my head around this. Where do I start? Mm-hmm. And we got 3 more coming. I mean, tonight is Doug Kahn.
Doug Kahn.
And then Eric, right? Who's a
tomorrow's Eric? Is there Eric?
Right. But the point is, we got those still to come, right?
And hopefully Jared Koff. who is local, lives here in the Dallas area, but he hadn't shown up yet, so he's going to be coming. Lance was saying, I think he's coming.
Yeah, I think this is, obviously for you and I who live in the state, it's just a quick drive up, so it makes it a lot easier. But more than that, it's like people you want to hang around with.
That's right. That's right. Because you're right. Whenever you're at a larger convention, there are people who have more general interests, I guess, and this is really more focused in the interest. Kind of like when we go to Pose or someplace, that's more of a bizarre storytelling convention. That's focused also.
Yeah, not only is it focused, I think because it's small enough, you get to know people, and the lines of, well, he's a card person, he's an illusionist, he's a coin person, blur, because you start talking about magic and you're helping one another get better despite whatever you happen to do. For example, I was talking to someone last night, to Danny, who's coins, right? And he says, so if I were doing this and I were trying to put a story together, what would I do? So now, I cannot do the things he can do with coins.
But you can certainly give him a storyline.
The dreams.
Yeah.
So he's asking me for this kind of advice. Now, if I wanted to do coins, I now know I can go to him and say, hey, Danny, can you show me some basic moves that I can do as someone who does not do coins but should have something in their repertoire. So now there's a different dynamic here, whereas when you go to the bigger conventions, everyone tends to separate into what their specialty fields are or their interests are.
And the clicks kind of thing.
And clicks is, yeah, I guess you could use that word. They separate into different groups of interest, let's put it that way, to be politically correct. And then there's so many other things going on at the convention, it's hard to come back together. Whereas here, a group went out to have breakfast this morning, right? Another group's going to have breakfast tomorrow. Usually they have a dinner that everyone goes to, although that particular barbecue joint is closed now. And so, because it's small, last night I saw, for example, 4 different tables of groups. And some were coin people, and some were card people, and some were this and the other. Well, I was able to go to each one of them and talk to them and introduce myself. And, you and I have, long history in the magic community. And so it's kind of fun to say, hey, you know what, I saw your review of. And that's the other thing. A lot of the people in here, I've done reviews on their products because that's the level of talent that's here, right? And so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. About half the people who are in attendance, not just performing, are creators who are selling stuff that, like you say, you review or whatever.
And so now I can finally put face and personality to someone that in the past I've seen their products or maybe seen them on a DVD, and for whatever reason we haven't crossed paths in the magic world before. And that's what this is.
Right.
A
lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward, like you said, we still got so much more left to do then as well.
Yeah.
If there's one regret, or one thing I would recommend, and that would be to have some sort of name tags for people.
No kidding.
Maybe I'm old, I don't know.
No. It would be a tremendous boon to those of us, especially the newbies. I looked at the list of people and I'm thinking, okay, I know about maybe a dozen or so of them. The rest I've heard about, right?
Yeah.
And so fortunately there are enough interconnections that the introductions just happen naturally. But I can't keep everyone straight. I mean, there's 63, 64 people here. A name tag or two would be really helpful.
Yeah, it would be. I was just talking with Lonnie Chevry, and he hasn't been out at conventions for a long time. And it's a good buddy of mine. And the funny thing is that we talk on the phone from time to time, and we've been emailing each other, talk about different ideas and whatnot. And we saw each other. It's like, oh, Scott, I can't believe, we gave each other a big hug. But the point is, he said, I didn't know how many people I was going to be seeing here. Every time I turn around, he said, I know more than half the people here that are good friends of mine. And that's the kind of camaraderie we've got here.
Exactly. Or the names. I mean, I certainly know the names of everyone on that list at some point, and they know me too because of the linking.
You're past IBM too.
Yeah,
President.
exactly. All of those things, and so, but they don't know my face, and so there's this moment.
I can relate to that. People know my voice, but not my face.
Exactly. And so you need to kind of, the name tags would be helpful in that particular case.
Well, Rolando, thank you very much. I appreciate it very much.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Ro. So the Magic Word Podcast. That was Rolando Santos. Scotty out. Well, here we are finally I say finally, this is day 2. Boy, it seems like a long time already, but we've just been here for a half day yesterday. And some people, again, as we reported earlier, came in Thursday night. And because it is a sessioning kind of an event, there was a lot going on, and it continued late into the night. And so now we're up finally trying to get some things going. We're going to be having a session beginning at 10:30, which is going to be a DIY hootenanny kind of a thing, which everybody's going to get to participate, whoever wants to sign up and show their stuff for the rest of the group. But I've got with me a friend from the 4F you might have heard from before, and somebody then also who is an excellent close-up guy and has also a little bit of does behind-the-scenes work here with Lance also, I believe, for here at the Pebblepalooza. Please welcome Tony Cabral. Hey, Tony.
Hi, Scott. How's it going?
Fantastic. No, I think you do have a voice like Mark D'Souza a little bit.
All right, I'll take that. I'll absolutely take that.
Got a nice kind of a voice, rounded bass baritone voice.
Particularly this time in the morning, I'm usually slipped in like 2 hours later, so you're going to get that nice.
So you have been helping Lance for the last, since the beginning, or just coming some of the genesis of this?
Yeah, since the beginning. It's really Lance's baby, both the forum and the gathering. But Curtis and I and Eric Rose have functioned as sort of, kind of behind the scenes advisors for certain things, regarding the forum, and then, certain things regarding the, kicking around ideas for what to do for the Pebble, for the gathering, and but it's really I've always kind of likened it to being the coat check guy in a nudist colony. There's really not a hell of a lot to do.
It's a great analogy.
It's really not a lot to do. I was just asking Curtis. As far as the DIY show is concerned, I was trying to remember how long we've been doing it, and I think we started doing it with the second. I forget whose idea it was, but I think it was with the second Pebble. So it would be like, 6-7 years of this, where we thought it'd be fun to do, to have a place for people to showcase stuff in case they didn't get a chance to do it out here in the lobby. Show some stuff to the group. And once again, Curtis and I ended up being the hosts and ad hoc organizers of the thing. But again, coming down to there's a tradition of us trying to find a way to do this with as little effort as possible.
That's always the goal in life,
exactly. Yeah. For most of them, we've had these. It's really been. For most of these, it's really been a thing where we're really kind of making it up on the fly. Like, how's the show going to go? I remember the first year we did it, we actually had an award. It was basically a painted rock with a stand. It was a stand that Craig Osterling made. That was literally a magic pebble. But then throughout the whole show, Curtis and I are in the corner, wondering what exactly is the criteria. Like, it's not a talent contest, but it's like, what exactly is the criteria to give away this stupid little award?
Rock, yeah.
And it turned out to be the only one act actually mentioned the pebble, so we were just like, bingo, there it is. And then we just went on.
Got it.
One year we had a spinner. It was really, really, it's very fly by the seat of your pants, which is part of the fun of it, really.
Right.
So.
Well, did this always, since the beginning then, Tony, start out then as a party, as it has continued to be? Is that the main idea?
Yeah, Lance has always insisted it's not a convention. The lectures aren't really lectures; they're just more presentations. But it's very, very loosey-goosey, and I appreciate that. I'm actually not a huge fan of, some of the large. I'm not a fan of structure. Yeah, a lot of people would agree with that. But like a heavily scheduled, big type convention. I much prefer these smaller. My first convention was the Buffalo 52. Sort of adjunct effectors or whatever, which again is a couple people get up and lecture, but the rest of the time you're just hanging out, having a session, reconnecting with friends and whatnot, and that's kind of that to me is what's worth it, and I think Lance appreciates that too. So
yeah, well, I understand, I appreciate that, because I do like the little structure there is. I mean, because it does have that kind of, like you say, it's not a lecture. I hadn't thought about that, but it really is a presentation in the standpoint that it's kind of like friends or brothers and sisters who are just kind of talking with each other while you're trying to have a conversation. I mean, you're trying to, in the process of showing them, in a way, it's kind of a larger session, if you will. One person's of having a session with friends, and you can feel free to ask comments or throw in heckles or whatever.
Yeah.
And what I like is I kind of feel like you're the main cheerleader. I kind of hear your voice over others who are throwing out these little. You keep things at a very lively pace. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm actually. It's again sort of the nature of sort of the nature of this voice, and I laugh loud, and people. Like back home, we have a group. Back home in Boston, we have a group of folks called the Boston Magic Lab, where we organize. We're on summer break, but we'll organize once a month, in sort of like open mic showcases.
Oh, okay.
And it's I've had it like I come out to these things if I'm not performing, and I've had it commented that it's nice to have me in the audience because you're going to hear that laugh cut through.
And you can't help but laugh when you hear your laugh.
I appreciate good stuff. I appreciate. My friends say something funny, I'm going to laugh. If somebody's going to do something amazing, I'm going to.
I've got a question about since you mentioned about Boston. Do they still have Tuesday Night Magic, or did that go a long time ago? I mean, with John Stetson and Steve Godolphin.
The Mystery Lounge. I honestly don't know. Because it used to be in the Hong Kong in Harvard Square.
Right.
It was up there. And then I think they moved it from there
to a comedy club or someplace for a while.
Yeah, but I hadn't caught up with it. I used to see that show regularly when I was living closer. I was living in Watertown, but now that I'm further south in Hyde Park, it's harder to get up to.
I just saw John Stetson a couple of weeks ago, and I should have asked him.
Yeah, that probably he would. Clearly he would know. But I mean, we've also got Paul Gertner's show at the Omni Parker House,
right.
And then two guys that I met through the Mystery Lounge. Steve Godolphin and Joel Azevedo, they have a two-man show, Four-Handed Illusions, which I've been meaning to get out to see because they both do tremendous work.
Great things about that show.
Yeah, oh yeah, they both do tremendous work, and I'd love to see what they're doing together. And again, I've had recommendations from all kinds of people. So
well, again, thanks very much for talking to us a little bit about this and getting a little bit of kind of color about what's going on, here then as well. And so this is the 8th year and going to continue on next year, obviously.
We're going to do our best. We're going to do our darndest. Like Gary Plants was pointing out yesterday, this is not a money maker, but it's a labor of love.
It really is.
It's so yeah. I'm if Lord willing, we get to do another. We get to do more.
And this works pretty well being in Dallas because it's centrally located. I mean, you can get in from Boston, and somebody here from California. We even had, I mentioned yesterday, I was talking with someone about how that this would be difficult for international travelers because it's only a day and a half, and they may be traveling from England for a day and a half and then get back, so it's hardly worth the time. But I saw Eddie here from Scotland.
Yeah, Eddie comes out regularly. We've had international guests. Lance's. We flew in Dennis Baer one time, and we've had a few other folks, but it was, it's worth it it's worth it just to provide that extra, value for the attendees and whatnot, and again, to connect with people you wouldn't normally connect with.
I think what's kind of cool also, then as I close here, is about the people who have such an intense passion for this that they're willing to donate and give stuff. I mean, like the things that we got yesterday, those coins were cool, and I think that the year before the gentleman had given something else. Anyhow,
it was playing cards just to give out. We did the same. Lance and I did the same shtick with the trivia and whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, it's a labor of love. There's a lot of generosity, a lot of willingness to just give back to the group. I mean, it's a really it's a nice sort of community to be a part of. It's very supportive, a family type thing. Yeah.
Tony, thanks very much. Good talking to you as always.
All right, thank you very much, Scott.
So the Magic Word Podcast. That was Tony Cabral, Scotty Wells, Scotty out. We are getting ready for the morning session here on Saturday, and this is going to be the opportunity for people to kind of show their stuff, and we've got a pretty full boat. Before we get started, because we only got a few minutes over here, I thought I would speak with someone who is actually apparently the only distaff side of of us here, and that would be Lauren Cohen. Hey there, Lauren. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you.
I'm glad you're here then as well, every year. So you've been coming since the first one as well?
Since the fourth.
Since the fourth one.
So this is my fifth year then.
Is there one that kind of stands out in your mind that you remember there being a guest or a performer or something they all kind of run together? Or?
Every year is so much fun. I love the people that come. I love the lectures. I never come just for the lectures. It's always for just everything. And so I love every year.
Yeah, because there's a lot of sessioning. I mean, I see you out there all the time.
I do,
doing stuff too.
Staying up very late sessioning, for sure.
When you're performing, do you normally do a lot of strolling cocktail parties, that kind of a thing then?
Most of what I do is strolling. I do some formal close-up shows, but the majority is strolling.
You ever work restaurants or much off?
Not really. I'm not opposed to it, but
you don't have a restaurant you work regularly now?
No. I do mostly private events.
Mm-hmm. And in those, do you normally work 1 hour or 2 hours? I'm curious because I'm always trying to push the 2 hours, but typically say, well, we just want you to drink cocktail for an hour.
It really depends. I mean, sometimes if there are birthday parties, then it will be a couple hours. If it's a private event for a company, then it will be maybe 1 hour during cocktail hour. So it really just depends on the need. But I usually, if it's just for 1 hour, I very rarely stay just for an hour. It's always more than that.
Did you have, when you were getting started, as a woman with smaller hands, did you use bridge-size cards or poker always?
So I used poker, and then somebody had told me I should use bridge, so I started using bridge, and then I went to conventions, went to Golden Gate Gathering, got made fun of, switched back to poker.
It was kind of one of those things that I've always was taught. You go with the larger ones, same with the sponge balls, whatever the largest can fit in your hand, and work your way down, I guess, because that way you're comfortable with whatever the large one is.
Yeah, and it just...
poker's more often. That's what
bridge just looks funny, too. It looks like it's warped, strangely.
Yeah, people don't know what bridge-size cards are now. But
they're smaller.
Yeah, they're narrower.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are there particular types of things that you like to do whenever you're performing? Do you have a set, or do you do different things depending upon the group when you're kind of going from cocktail setting? Let's say a group of men versus a group of women. Do you have an opening trick that's different for each?
No, I don't have an opening trick that's different for each. The type of magic that I love to do is magic that's in the spectator's hands. Mm-hmm. So when the pandemic hit and I switched to virtual, then my whole show needed a change because couldn't really say, okay, pick a card, or here, hold these coins in your hand. So it was really adapting to the environment. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't say that I changed based on gender, no.
During, I do. I mean, for an example, I will use sponge bunnies for a group of women, but I'll use a Hundy 500 for men because they're interested in money. I mean, it gets their attention.
I think women are interested in money.
Well, no. I didn't mean to imply that. I definitely know what you mean there. Who doesn't like money, of course? But I don't get the same reactions from men when I'm doing sponge bunnies as I do from women.
That's why I don't do sponge bunnies.
Oh, really? Okay.
No.
Okay. Fair enough. It's just a different dynamic, I think, sometimes, between the groups whenever that they're working. And so when you're performing again, do you have are they just cards, or do you have a variety of?
No, I do have variety. I'll do a variety between cards, coins, rubber bands, money tricks, and then just whatever. So maybe throw in like a double cross in there, throw in a Rubik's Cube, whatever it might be.
Right.
But as much as I love card tricks, I know that not everybody loves card tricks, so that's why I kind of mix it up a little bit.
And when you promote yourself, what is the main portal, I guess, where people find you? Is it through your website or through word of mouth or what?
It's mostly word of mouth and then social media as well. And then on my website with magiclauren.com, then it shows all of my social links. And so people will find me on Instagram, TikTok, which I don't post as much. So it's mostly Instagram and Facebook.
So Insta's the main social you use?
Yeah.
Do you use Facebook much at all?
I do a little bit. I do social media for my full-time job, and so I try to kind of not do social as much when I'm not working my full-time job.
Last evening, Doug Kahn was talking about using YouTube Shorts. Have you been doing any shorts or doing some videos on Insta?
No, it's hard for me to want to post on videos on social because it's a totally different environment, and so you have to think about a different sort of angle, and you're not working off of misdirection, you're not bantering with somebody else, it's just one single angle.
Yep.
And so I think that if you practice that, then it's a little harder to take that into the real world.
Yeah.
And then people also just tend to criticize online, especially male magicians will criticize a lot of women magicians, and they give a lot of unsolicited feedback, which don't want. And then if you say no, thank you, then they say, oh, well, you don't want feedback. And it's like, well, I'll take feedback from people I trust and admire and respect, but I don't need it from you.
Right, but not from you. Thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I guess it'd be kind of difficult over there. Well, like it's room's starting to heat up over here. I'm going to let you enjoy your seat and enjoy the water over there, and we'll get ready for things. Thanks again.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Lauren Cohen. Scotty out. We just finished the morning show, and that is really kind of it was a DIY thing in which a few people had just volunteered, and it was just a heck of a lot of fun. One of the people who were performing, I talked a little bit earlier with Lauren Cohen, who is the only woman who is here, and now I'm going to be speaking with someone who is the youngest guy who's here, Danny Cheng. Hey, Danny.
Hello. Nice to be here.
And I'm glad you're here also. So how young are you then?
So I'm 28 this year.
Mm-hmm. And so you're the youngest fellow here then. Is that what they were saying?
As far as I know, yes.
And you come all the way from San Francisco, you said? You were Taipei originally?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Taipei, but currently I'm based in San Francisco and, flew all the way from California to here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you come, obviously, just for this, or are you going to be hanging out with some other friends? You come early, going to stay late, or are you going to see some other magicians while you're here in town, or just going back?
Mostly I'll just be here till the last day, and then I'll be back to San Francisco, do what I need to do. But
so this is a close-up convention, obviously, and so do they have anything like this that's similar out in the Bay Area, or?
Well, there used to be the Golden Gate Gathering, the GGG conventions, but it has not happened frequently, within this few years. And Pebble is a little special. It's a small gathering, and unlike big conventions, a lot of times really we just sit together, just jam and having sessions.
I remember also the Buck Brothers, I think, used to have some sort of a convention out there too. It was a close-up thing. Do you remember that?
I don't recall, unfortunately, but
you're a young guy. You remember a ways back.
This could be probably before me, so I don't recall. Yeah.
So how many years have you been coming to this?
Pebble, frankly, this is my second time, and the first time actually as part of a Pebble as a member, because my first time was in 2019, right before COVID.
Right.
And I kind of crashed the party with my buddy, and then after being here, meeting people, I think I'm just lucky to be part of this group. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you decided last time, like myself, that was my first time also in 19, and I had forgotten that I had paid for the registration, and then I got the email saying, hey, if you're getting this email, you've already registered. So,
oh, wow, that's awesome.
So, we'll be seeing you here at this convention. So, did you say you came with a buddy last time? Is he here this time, or is it...
No, my buddy is Charles Cheng. Unfortunately, his work came out the last minute, so he couldn't make it. Okay. But we were planning to, come here and hang out together, but unfortunately, things got in the way.
So what is it about this convention that make you come all the way from San Francisco to here?
Well, a lot of the guys here really are close friends. Also, people I only read about and admire, like, for example, Lance Pierce, he does some great magic and phenomenal, and I'm a fanboy. I have his books, and actually I brought him to here asking to sign them.
Yeah.
And also I watched Lance on DVD. He was like a magician that I could only read about or saw on the screen from the DVDs. But being here, I get to see him live. So that's for a fanboy, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, I understand completely. So have you learned some stuff here so far too, as well? I mean, just sessioning in the evenings.
Yeah, definitely. I session and learn. I mean, gotta be honest, a lot of card guys out here, but surprisingly, they're also coin magicians, coin guys,
which is kind of your specialty, isn't it?
Well, I guess I'm one of them.
That's what you were introduced as. Everybody said, "Man, you guys see this guy? Danny's been doing all this coin stuff out here." So we're going to have you. You performed. It's a great thing also with the color changing knives and other stuff too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, like kind of what Harper will say, coin magic. Eventually, if you pick it up, essentially, it's kind of part of like a small object manipulations. Once you know coin magic, it's really applicable to a lot of things. Me personally, besides that, I also just kind of got sick of a card tricks. I'm like, I want to try something else. So I kind of tapping a little bit of everything. So yeah, I kind of just everything kind of guy, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're here. You're going to be coming back in the future as well? You like it so much you're going to come back?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I got to come back if, next year or even future. Definitely come back.
Great. Thanks a lot, Danny. Good talking to you. Good job. Good set there today, too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So with the Magic Word Podcast, that was Danny Cheng. Scotty out. As we said a while ago, we just finished the morning session. One of the other people who was performing on there is someone else who had come even further than San Francisco. Danny had come to San Francisco, and here is someone who's come all the way from Glasgow, Scotland, Eddie McColl. Hey, Eddie.
Hi there. How are you?
Fantastic. So glad that you're here. Now, you were talking earlier about Roy Walton, and I had visited his shop. I think Peter McClanahan and he took me over there many years ago. And Roy passed a few years back, but he was really a great innovator and teacher, and he was a mentor of yours, I guess, then? Or?
Yeah.
And friend?
I met Roy when I was about 14.
That was only like 20 or what, 15 years ago, maybe?
I wish. I wish, really, a few weeks ago. But, and I knew him right up until he passed when he was 87. So, but yeah, he was a fabulous man. So generous, true gentleman. He never said a bad word about anyone, and he was just a lovely, lovely man. And he would help in any way he could. I mean, if he could help you do stuff, he didn't really give formal lessons as such.
Right.
But he would guide you to where all the good stuff was.
Well, he had a place in the back of the shop, as I recall.
Well, he has the back of the shop, yeah, but he was always out at the front, maybe demonstrating stuff. But Saturday kind of morning or Saturday afternoon was the time the magicians kind of arrived in the shop, and he loved all of that, especially in his later years, because his hearing became really bad. He had hearing aids and stuff, so he couldn't hear. If large crowds of people were in the shop, he just couldn't hear properly.
Yeah.
So it was good with 2 or 3 magicians would go in on a Saturday, just stand in the corner, and he would just just do stuff.
Kind of hold court, I guess.
Kind of do stuff, yeah. And it was fabulous. And Andrew Galloway would visit, and Gordon Bruce would come into the shop, and we would just go for coffee. And I didn't do anything, I didn't say anything, I just sat and listened, because that's what you do.
Just absorb.
Yeah. You just sit and listen, especially when Andrew Galloway and Roy start talking, and Gordon, it's all historical stuff, and and then Gordon would maybe do something. But it was just amazing.
You just kind of need to sit there and be a fly on the wall and kind of see what's going on. What was the name of it again? Tam something?
Tam Shepherd's.
Tam Shepherd's.
Tam Shepherd's is the name of the shop, yeah. It's over 100 years old.
And is it still in operation?
It's still there, yes. His 2 daughters, Julia and Sarah, look after the shop. And
same location?
Same location. Wow. It's never moved. Exactly the same inside.
Yeah.
It's just exactly the same. Nothing's changed.
So what about the gathering of magicians? I mean, since Roy's gone, do still people come and hang around?
Well, yeah, we do. Sometimes we have a one-day convention in Glasgow called the Carol Lafong Day, KLF, because Roy had a trick called the Carol Lafong trick.
Okay.
So that was Peter McClanahan, Neil Sturton, a guy called Jack. Jack is a kind of technical guy, does all the technical stuff. Great guy, does a lot of my video editing and stuff. But so they have a one-day convention in October, and it's really in honour of Roy. And they did that. He was there, he'd been there, Andy was there, so he did attend. But obviously he's...
And it's all held there at the Tam...
it's not in the shop, it's in Glasgow, it's in a hotel.
Oh, in a hotel, I was going to say, because you couldn't have many people there, of course.
No, it's in a hotel, and it's kind of limited to probably 50 or 60 people.
And it's a close-up thing.
It's all close-up stuff.
Kind of like what this convention is, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, exactly like this. But it's just a one-day thing.
Are they mainly people from around Scotland, or do you have people from around England that come up?
Yeah, guys from England come up. A couple of guys came over from Holland.
Wow.
So there's some travelling and
from Ireland even.
I haven't had any Irish people that I know of that I can't remember. Well, we didn't do it for a few years because of the COVID. So,
are there any magicians over in Islay, in the Isle of Islay?
Ireland? Islay. I really don't know.
Okay, I was curious about that. Okay.
There must be somewhere.
I mean, I've gone on a Scotch tour, distillery tour, and spent some time in Scotland, and I absolutely love it. But I've not been over there. I'm not really a peaty guy. Yeah. I really like the more the Highland Scotch, Speyside Scotch. Yeah. But my son likes that, so I was thinking about sometime I want to travel, maybe go over there. I just wonder if there were any magicians over in Ireland.
Yeah, that'd be great. You should come over, yeah.
Because I own a little bit of property. With Lefroy, apparently you can buy like a cubic yard or foot of property, which means I guess I'm a lord because I own Scottish property.
There you go then, yeah. So you own part of Scotland, that's fantastic.
Just call me Lord Wells.
Yeah. What hill is that? There must be some hill or a mountain somewhere.
Someplace, in the middle of nowhere.
Get to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have you've come to this before?
Yeah, I've been here before.
How many times have you been to this?
I think this is only the second time I've been here.
You were here in 19, I think, last time when I was
2019, yeah, and Bill was here and all the guys were here. Jack Carpenter was here.
Now, I saw you at the 4F a while back. Have you been hanging around since then, or did you go home and come back?
No, I went home and came back over to here. I lost my kind of mojo for a while.
You got it back.
I just had family, kind of things that happened through COVID, and had family stuff.
It's all right.
No, that's fine. So yeah, I'm just trying to get back into it again. So I travelled just to get a bit of inspiration and watch some of the young guys, like the young guy Danny doing all the coin stuff.
Yeah, that was really awesome.
It's fantastic. And Big Ian is just very, very funny.
Very funny.
And he's just hilarious, you know. And I mean, he the last time I was here, he picked me up and Howard at the airport. And we just clicked, we became kind of friends.
Well,
and
Ian Richards is who he's talking about here.
Yeah.
And Ian actually is from the UK, but he lives here in Dallas, and he performs here regularly as well. Dal Sanders has a thing called Magic in the Living Room, and he's one of the regular performers as part of the troupe, I guess, that are performing there then too. But he's a great guy.
Brilliant.
Really funny.
Brilliant guy. Really funny.
That's right. Well, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that you've got your mojo back.
Yeah,
you're going to get it.
Getting there. I'll get there eventually.
Well, again, when you came to the 4F, I mean, you were kind of thrown into it again. You're seeing a bunch of early great guys there as well.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, 4Fs is good. Yeah, it was good. I always... It used to be Danny Block's thing that I went to.
That's right, that 52.
52, I was always there. I travelled there a few times with Gordon and other people, but George McBride's been there and so on. So
he doesn't do that anymore, though, does he?
Gordon?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the 52 that the thing Danny Block does.
I think it's still going. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's still going. He was asking. I met him at the 4Fs, and he says, "When are you coming through to Buffalo?" I says, "Well, I'm in Buffalo."
We're here now.
I'm here now. But I know.
This doesn't count. What?
I know what you meant. Yeah. So yeah, I'll go back. It's just the journey getting to Buffalo is quite. It's a hell of a schlep because you're going from Glasgow to Heathrow maybe to Philly or Chicago, and then Chicago or Philly to Buffalo. So it's a bit of a on and off.
Wow. Okay.
It's a long...
It's not easy in and out.
Yeah, this is easier because it's one flight from Glasgow to Heathrow.
Straight to
and
DFW.
Heathrow straight over.
Yeah.
And so this is a lot easier to get to.
Yep.
And
so
it's warmer. And it's a nice hotel.
Not so Dreek here. True.
Yeah, Dreek, yeah.
So are you going to be heading back then tomorrow? Heading back
Yeah,
home?
I'm heading back tomorrow, and... we'll see how things go.
I'll be sure and say hello to Peter and Neil and all the guys there for me too. It's great.
I will do.
Good seeing you.
Really nice to speak to you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Eddie, good seeing you, my friend.
Cheers.
So with Magic Word Podcast, that was Eddie McColl. Scotty out. We cannot talk about the Pebblepalooza, obviously, without talking with the organizer. And I hated to bother him because he's been busy with so many other things. And, whenever I talk with other organizers with other conventions, they are just everywhere, and they really are busy all the time. And this is the most laid-back event. And I hate to call it a convention. It's really a party. And the fellow who is the organizer is having such a good time also, but there's not a whole lot to do, or at least it doesn't appear there's a whole lot to do because everything is already put in place and it just runs itself. And you're just here enjoying the party as much as everybody else. Here he is, Lance Pierce. Hey, Lance.
Hey, what's up? How you doing, buddy?
Fantastic. So this has been a great party, and thank you very much for hosting it again.
Oh, well, thank you for coming. And I appreciate you not calling it a convention because and it's okay, I guess, if people to call it that, but it's really not. And the whole model of it is not a convention. It's a party that just happens to be too big for my house. But when I get my 80-room mansion all set up, we're going to have it there instead.
So it'll be 2 years from now? Is that going to be Pebble 10?
Well, I'm thinking maybe a year and a half tops. But, so I'm working on my second $1 million because I completely screwed up the first. So I'm doing the best I can. But, yeah, we're having a good time. And I thank you for coming as well.
Well, one of the things you do also is you usually have 4 different guests, some people who are, and again, I like the fact that they're not called lectures, they're presentations, and they are talks, and they're really not even talks. Again, I feel like we're in your living room. It's kind of like everybody's just joking with them and throwing heckles and whatnot and interrupting throughout. I mean, it's not just asking questions, but talking about their mama or something, or their clothing. Yeah. It's a fun type of a thing. When you get people, do you balance this with not only being a good person and fun to be here, but someone you think that can roll with the punches?
I try to find guys and ladies, even, you know, that the gender doesn't matter. We're all good people here. But no, I guess what I'm trying to say is we try to seek out people who we first feel would be a good fit with the group, because the important thing is they have a good hang. So they hang all weekend long and have fun with the crowd. And we don't really... I mean, we could bring in some very talented and skilled guys, but if they're not interested in hanging with the group, and they tend to disappear when they're not in the room talking to them, we're less interested in bringing them in, because their talk that they give to the room isn't the most important thing. It's that everybody have fun, sitting around the table, socializing, showing each other tricks and things like that. And we've had some really great people come in and give those talks, and then have some really great times out in the lobby too. I mean, I don't want to brag about it, but probably one of our best weekends we've had was when Steve Forty came in.
I keep hearing about this one.
Yeah,
I was here that year,
and it really surprised everybody, because I didn't tell anybody he was coming in until he was actually there. But the best part about it was not just the talk he gave to the room, but the fact that all night long Steve was out there in the lobby, watching tricks and showing tricks and talking to everybody, and I think everybody had I think he had a great time, and that was what I really wanted, was for it to have that party-like social atmosphere.
Well, that's what I get the feeling as well, that people are having such a good time. It's kind of like, I'm coming back next year whether I'm performing or not. And I know some people, like Doug Kahn, who has been coming for a while, and it's like, he's a guest this year. It's like, you should be here, you know, actually teaching the rest of us formally or informally this way. But other people like Bill Malone and Erik Tait, other guys who have just come and hung out, you know, here.
Yeah, that's true. And Erik did give a presentation one time, and but I like the fact that these guys have enough fun that they keep coming back, and that just they know they want to be here because it's just a nice weekend, you know, as opposed to nobody feels any pressure, I hope, to do anything in particular, right? So, but even when we bring in guys, if I bring in somebody who hasn't been here before, I always try to take a little time to kind of educate them that it's not a convention, and we don't want you to feel like you're giving a lecture. If you want to give a talk that's based on your lecture, that's fine, but you think of it more as you're in a room with your friends, because you're going to know most of the people in the room, and you're going to just have a conversation with them about things you like to talk about. And I think some of them have been surprised at how much interaction there is with the people who are watching. I mean, it gets to be really two-way sometimes, and we've had speakers go up where the crowd heckled him and he heckled them back just as much, and you know, it's just everyone's ribbing each other, and it's just a lot of fun all around. So
there's a lot of stuff that's let loose here, as far as words and jokes and things that wouldn't be you wouldn't hear at other places.
Right. Well, this is true. This is not what we would call a family weekend. I mean, it's really not. But so we do let people know right off the bat that they're free to. Well, let me put it this way. When I give the opening comments on Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock, I will
set the bar.
Yeah, exactly. I'll drop a couple of bombs myself just to let people know it's all good. We're all friends here, and it's a very relaxed time.
And I think the location, by the way, I don't know how you came about this, but it could not be better for this size of a group. And other conventions or other organizers could not choose something like this because of the intimacy of this. But we're right here in Addison, which has more restaurants than any place around, and it's easy to get in and out of DFW from all over the world. It's a major airport and everything. But about how many people actually are, about 50 people, or how many registrants have you got here?
I generally cap it at 65 just because of the constraints of the size of the room. And some people have said, well, it's getting kind of crowded in there sometimes. You think we ought to get a bigger venue? But I know that if we do, it'll just expand to fill that one.
Then you lose the intimacy.
Exactly. So we want to keep it as small as it is. And I think we're at a good medium right now to where we have a good-sized crowd, but yet it's still intimate enough that everybody gets to see everybody while we're here and have a good time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and it's great. And as far as how this got started, we have talked with some other people who've, like Tony Cabral and some others, about how the genesis of all this and everything as well. And as far as people joining the Pebble online conference or forum, how do they do that?
Okay, well, we have a little bit of a different model than most online forums. It is not an open forum. We're not trying to exclude anybody. We just want to make sure that people who come in fit with the group. They're like-minded people. So what we have done is we have asked current members, if they see somebody who looks like they would be good to fit in with everybody else, invite them in. So it's more of a pull system than a push system where people come knocking on the door. The current members tend to bring new people in and they sponsor them, and then the rest of the membership will take a vote, and decide whether or not that person looks like a good fit. And like I said, we're not trying to be elite, because we're really not elite. I mean, but it's just a way to kind of keep the quality up is what we're trying to do. Yeah.
I understand that. I was just talking to Rolando Santos. This is his first year.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm not sure how this works exactly.
Okay, yeah.
And in fact, he'd sent me an email beforehand. He said, can you kind of shepherd me through, and I want to hang and shadow you and kind of see what's happening. I said, you'll fit in quickly. And he did. Right. When we were having breakfast this morning, then he was saying, so still, as far as how this goes, now that I'm in, do I need to apply each year? Or I said, no, once you're in, you're in. It's like 4F, basically.
Right.
You know?
That's exactly right. Yeah. He's got a room full of people downstairs. I'm sure any one of them would be willing to sponsor him right in.
Right.
And we'll just, most of the time, the whole voting thing sounds like it's a way to keep people out, but it's more just like a formality. Mm-hmm. That's all it is.
A little bit of a vetting procedure. I mean, to make sure that people have a sincere interest and passion for cards and close-up.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Well, it's a great organization and great thing that you've done.
Well, thank you very much. It's a lot of fun. I think everybody has a good. I hope everybody has a good time.
Well, you can tell. I think they are. You know, it is a lot of fun. I like the fact, again, that there is so much time that's left for sessioning, so it's not like back-to-back different things that are happening and whatever.
Well, no, exactly. I mean, we do have 4 people come in who are willing to talk to the crowd, but in my mind, the people who speak to the group are not the point. That's just to give us a break from sessioning sometimes. But the whole point is people's hanging out in the lobby and sessioning. Yeah. That's the main purpose of coming, is to socialize. So.
Yeah, and it's not a dealer. There are no dealers or anything there either.
Dealers.
So
we don't have dealers. I mean, if somebody wants to come in, maybe offer books for sale in the lobby, we can let that happen. But we are not going to ever have a dealer room. We're not going to set up that kind of a thing where it looks like a normal convention, because that's not the way.
Now, because sessioning is a major part of this, have you ever thought about trying to charge for just hanging out in the lobby, or just kind of like people come?
No.
Okay.
The only reason we ask people to pay anything up front to come is to offset the costs, because we have the cost of the meeting room, and I do fly in the speakers and take care of their hotel accommodations.
And some people come from overseas, like you had Dennis Baer from Germany.
Exactly. Yeah, we've had people from Spain. We've had people come from other countries. But the thing is, I don't think of and it's only $120 for people to come for. So if they want to think of it, they can think of it as $30 per speaker. But in my mind, it's not a registration fee as much as it's simply crowdsourcing the expenses. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. We've got to pay for it somehow, and so we just spread out the costs among the people and let them help out. So it's not, I keep stressing, it's not your normal convention model. It's more like if you were to come to a party at somebody's house and the host said,
chip in for the beer,
pitch in some food or beer or whatever, and maybe a couple of dollars for the whatever you for the hard drugs that are on the counter. That's fine too. But
hard candy. Let's say hard candy.
Exactly. But that's exactly what it is. We're just crowdsourcing the expenses so we can have the weekend so everybody can have fun. That's all. Yeah.
And we are indeed. Thanks very much, Lance. It's been a lot of fun.
No problem. Thank you for talking to me about it.
And we're going to be having it again next year. Same place, same time, same place?
Every year I refuse to make promises. I keep telling people this could be the last one. But no, we'll probably do it again next year. It's hard not to.
Yeah. So we're getting ready right now. We're almost about to wrap this up. We're going to be having Pebblepalooza 8.3, just a wrap here very shortly. At 7 o'clock, we'll be seeing Erik Tait. And the presentations have all been about 2 hours each, they've been going. And then at 10:30 tonight, then we're going to be having Gary Plant's going to have a special presentation going to show some historical videos. It'll be pretty cool.
He's brought some neat, I saw some clips up in the room a little while ago. He's got some really cool stuff. Mm-hmm. Some footage that people probably don't even know exists. Mm-hmm. And so we're looking forward to letting the guys see some of that.
Are you happy the way this whole thing's turned out and it's kind of met your expectations or exceeded? Or
I was going to it with a certain amount of angst because I'm worried that I really want people to have a good time. But I'm very happy with the way this weekend has turned out.
Well, as I said, it seems like that you were just kind of the ringmaster in a way, and you're having a good time as everyone else. I mean, it's not like you're running around and you don't have time. It's like, I got to go attend to this or make sure the room's set up,
You haven't been paying attention. Because I feel like I've been running around all day long like a chicken with my head.
No.
What's the phrase? My head in with a chicken cut off. Anyway, however that goes. But yeah, I've made multiple trips to Walmart today and picking up supplies and things like that. And I've cleaned the room 3 times already. But but I do it when you guys are in the lobby having fun. I just sneak out and go take care of some stuff.
I just thought you were taking a nap like we were talking about Roger Klaus doing.
Right, yeah. So it's, but I still have time to hang with the guys too and have my fun as well. So. Good. Yeah, it's a good deal.
Well, thank you very much again, and good luck, and I do hope to see you next year then as well.
It's a date, you and me.
Okay, buddy.
If nobody else shows up, you and me are going to have a great time.
I'm glad we're doing this in our room right now. So, okay, we'll leave it there. Right. Thank you very much. That was Lance Pierce, Scotty out. The convention is over. We have just finished a lot of activities here this afternoon, and finishing off here this evening then with Gary Plants, who was showing us some wonderful videos. I didn't realize how the time had gone so quickly. We started at 10:30. It's about 12:30 then right now. But kind of doing a quick wrap, we just talked with Lance Pierce to kind of go over the convention. He was happy with the things, how it went, but I thought we'd also just talk a little bit with my friend and yours, Mike Powers, who is here with me now. Hi, Mike.
Hey.
I should say good morning.
That's about right.
It's been a fun time, fun weekend.
It's been a really blast time, indeed.
Yeah. So, before we started, you were saying about how much that you really enjoyed seeing Jared Kopf.
You know, I've seen him a couple times. I saw him when he was a young kid at Dan Block's convention in Buffalo, and he was a badass then. And then I saw him at the Chicago Magic Lounge do a show, which was just incredible. I got a little taste again today of his style. It's just unique. I think you'll agree that there's only one guy doing what he's doing.
His presentation is amazing. I don't know how to explain it.
He did this poem. It was at Hilliard. What was that? I forget. He gave the quote today. He started off with this mind. I mean, I'm just like transfixed with the words. I mean, there's no magic yet. He's just setting up a mood and an atmosphere.
Right.
And and then it just goes from there.
About what magic is, and going back to their primordial, beginnings
exactly.
of magic.
And I mean, I'm just wow. I really dig that stuff. And then it got the technical stuff. He just started doing some tricks, but he kept
cups and balls. Were great.
Yeah, the cups and balls. The touches on the linking ring. I do that routine, but it ain't like he does the routine. Right. He's got so many cool touches of basically having every ring examined. I mean, how can you beat a linking ring routine where every ring feels like it's examined?
Right.
And it was just amazing.
And his egg bag also that he learned from Bob White, as well as from Johnny Thompson. Some other moves were great.
Right.
Yeah.
And the cups and balls had these moments where, you just notice in the side, your peripheral vision as a magician catches him loading a cup. But you know that it's so off to the side that nobody watching it who's not a magician would have any idea that that cup was being loaded.
The instruction's perfect.
And he talked about don't cross. I mean, if I go back and try to redo some of the stuff I do with the things in mind that I learned from him today, don't cross your hands. Don't take your right hand in front of your left hand as you're moving across. He didn't have to.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, he would pick something. He handed it to his left hand and then took it over without crossing. Just so many touches that made all the difference in just the perfect version of these tricks. I was really so glad to see him again.
Yeah. I had not seen him lecture. I've seen him perform briefly, but not getting to spend the 2 hours we did with him here today. It was great.
Right.
And then after that, later this evening, we had Erik Tait, who gave a short lecture, but then it kind of got into be a longer one.
Yeah, well, after the lecture, he did all this shuffling stuff. Then, for me, the fun stuff was watching him do that snap deal and all the applications of it, So that became the highlight of his lecture. For me, it was kind of an afterthought. He did not that the lecture wasn't cool on false shuffles. I think he's going around doing some false shuffle lecture.
Right.
But I hope he spends time. Hey, show us that snap deal, and then it was like a half an hour later.
Yeah, right. It was really good. Yeah, and then the rosette thing of Leonard Green's shuffle.
Oh, that looked
shuffle.
really good. Yeah, I've never done that, and those are these things that, boy, I have to take some notes on my notepad to remember. Go home and learn that shuffle, the Rosetta shuffle, because it's very practical. It's on the table, and it's easy. It's a full deck false shuffle. And anyway, so many things learned this weekend. I've got to go back home and look through my notes and dig it out.
And I thought it was really a great evening. The way to cap this off then with Gary showing the videos, it was kind of unexpected surprise that Lance put together for us, and seeing some of these old things from guys we haven't seen or ever met back in the 30s, as well as some younger things.
If
Mike Skinner.
If you got Gary's collection in here, we'd be here for like a year of the videos this cat has.
Yeah.
And he always gets the best thing. He gets back to the original tape that was used, not sixth generation tape like some, that gets around.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's meticulous about it. I want to say one more thing about Jared that I didn't know. Did you know he's a musician? I did not know that till today.
I didn't know that until I noticed he had his guitar and his speaker with him. He said, well, I don't leave in the car. I can't leave in the parking lot because this is my bread and butter now.
We were out front, and he pulls out a Stratocaster and a Telecaster. They're really nice guitars. They're very fine guitars. And his amplifier, I'm going, what's going on with this? Oh, that's one of his main things now, is being a musician. I really wish I had a chance to go hear him play, because I'll bet he's a badass guitar player, too.
I wonder if he's got some CDs or something, perhaps.
I'm going to look for it, because I really want to hear how he plays, because, just seeing that meticulous attention to detail in his magic, I know he's going to bring it to that music, and I want to hear it.
Yeah. Well, overall, Mike, I think it was a great weekend, or I say weekend, day and a half. It seemed like, we just went on and on. Now I got to get some sleep.
Yeah, me too. Great to see you again, Scott.
And you too. So with the Magic Word Podcast. And from Madison, Texas, we had a great time over here then at Lollapalooza 8.3. And again, I want to thank Lance Pierce and all of the guys who helped organize and put this thing together, making us just this such a memorable time. And thank you, Mike, very much for helping the wrap.
Indeed.
So from Madison, Texas, that was Mike Powers and Scotty out.